Welcome to the Ascend Growth AI podcast, where we mix smart growth moves with a little AI magic. I'm Teresa. Let's dive in. Today's guest is John Noonan, president of Growth Plan Partners, a strategic advisory firm that helps businesses unlock growth and scale with intention. With a strong background in corporate strategy, sales, and marketing, John partners with CEOs and leadership teams to align execution with vision. I'm excited to dive into his insights today. So, John, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Teresa. Appreciate it.
So you've had an impressive career across multiple companies before launching Growth Plan Partners. Can you walk us through your journey and what's inspired you to start the firm?
Sure. Thank you much. So, I spent a total of 35 plus years in corporate America. So one of my very first full-time jobs was with a multi-billion-dollar company, Avery Dennison, which was great. Got tons of training and tons of support, and quickly decided that I wanted to be a sales leader instead of an individual contributor. Also, tons of training and tons of support, which is not often the case. And we joke about that in what I do today, that, too many people take their best salesperson and make them their sales manager by default. And it rarely works without preparation, support, and training. But anyway, it worked well for me. I became a sales leader. I truly enjoyed it. Got lured away from another company, finished my MBA in marketing and finance. And then most of my career was as an EVP of sales and marketing, where I worked to align sales and marketing teams against the growth goals of the organization. So for a short time, I was the CEO of about a $40 million screen printing operation in New Jersey as well. And then we ended up selling that company to private equity, which kind of introduced me to that world. So the last 20 or so years of my career, I worked for companies on the management team that were owned by private equity. And generally, the management companies own about 15% of those deals. And we have what we call a transaction. And we had many, 4 or 5 during the end of my career. So truly enjoyed it, had a lot of fun. And then along came COVID. And it was kind of time to say, do I want to do that much traveling? Do I want to do that much, around the country with what's going on? So I decided to start Growth Plan Partners and stay a little closer to home, and also serve my local communities around me, although I serve the entire United States, helping small and mid-sized businesses. So today I'm kind of focused on really the $5 million to $50 million revenue businesses and helping that business owner get to the next level.
So tell us more about Growth Plan Partners. What's your core offering? How are you helping businesses grow and scale?
So what we do at Growth Plan Partners is we help build a path to more sales. And what we see in companies, as I described, more in the $5 million to $50 million in revenue, is great company with a great product, a great service. And they got there through sheer inertia most of the time, right? Just good old fashioned hard work, get out there. The owner's probably one of the top salespeople. I mean, it was their baby. They took it out. They loved to sell. And then, as they grew, maybe they hired a few salespeople, kind of got that going, had to ad hoc become the sales manager just because that's what they had to do. And we find them all of a sudden then hit a plateau or get stuck, right? They get to some number, 10 million, 20 million. I've had several clients at 40 and $50 million that have then plateaued for a couple of years trying to figure out what happened. And many times, it's the lack of process, systems, KPIs, dashboards. I mean, the basics for what we do in the very large companies. But, as you're growing and you're growing fast, it's take the business, satisfy customers, don't worry about all that stuff, right? And then eventually it gets to the point where more of the same is not going to get you growth. You've got to step back. I always kind of refer to it as the 10-finger typing. We all get really fast with a couple of fingers, right? But if we really want to be a fast typer and get to the next level, we're going to have to slow down. We're going to have to reevaluate. We're going to have to use all 10 fingers. And then eventually we'll get faster and faster and faster and can continue to grow and improve our speed. So it's kind of the same thing there. I help companies bring in CRM systems and again, put together their sales process, look at their ideal clients, and make sure that they're now hunting with intention, if you will. Again, quite often, hey, a couple of customers over here, a couple of customers over there. This is all exciting. Keep bringing them in, keep bringing them in. Some you're making great money on, some you're not, but you're hoping the mix is good. And we really help them sit down and look at, who do we really want to do business with? Where are we going to best serve our client base and make, the maximum profit for us doing it? So Those are the kinds of things. And also I help them with hiring and firing. A lot of times we might not have the right butts in the right seats, as they say. So, we can help them and guide them to find people. And hopefully we're hiring simply because we've set a new growth goal and we're hiring to add salespeople to the mix so that we can get to that ultimate final sales goal.
Any success stories that you can share? I'm sure you have a ton.
Many, many. I remember my first one was kind of so much fun. It was a company that had been in business for 30 years. Dad started the business. The three sons and the wife were all in the business. And tragically, the father had died 3 years prior to me being introduced to them. And they were at the same sales level that they were the day Dad died. They kept doing what Dad did and tried their best, but no one really had the skill set or understanding of what they had to do to grow revenue. So I was able to come in and quickly decide that they had some people on the sales team that shouldn't be there. We hired a few new ones. But more importantly, we worked with the existing ones to show them how to kind of refocus their efforts onto the right customers. And within 8 months, sales were up 30%. Senior salespeople that were there who, when I come in, everybody gets nervous, right? What's going to happen to me if this guy's here? I had them also up 30%. They were making more money. Everybody was happy. So I usually work with a client 6 to 12 months, and then I'm finding my replacement. And that was just about the case with them. About 9 months, everything was good. It was time to find my replacement. We went outside and found a good person from the industry to come in and take over behind me, and they continue to grow. So great success story. And I've had several like that. So enjoy them.
That's really impressive, and what a legacy to leave.
Thank you.
Who is your ideal client? You mentioned the 5 to 50 or 10 to 50 million, but industry,
Yep.
private equity
Yeah,
companies.
industry-wise, well, yeah, I came out of the print and packaging. My very first company, the big one I talked about, was Avery Dennison. So we did labels and labeling equipment. So put me into hundreds of manufacturing plants, cosmetic, pharmaceutical, food products. So, I got to understand a lot of those businesses and, work with them. And I enjoy companies that manufacture things. So that's probably, the number one group that I serve. But, my expertise has expanded. After that, I was with a company. We started a big construction division. So I have worked with construction companies. I've worked with large commercial landscapers. I got introduced and did several logistics companies, both forward and reverse. So it's been fun to learn some new industries and do some different things. I've worked with marketing companies. So obviously that's part of my background, so I understand them very well as well. I would say the only markets maybe that I personally don't serve as well would be, professional services, accounting firms, law firms, things like that. Probably don't look at sales the same way I do as far as putting the team together and making it all work for us.
And in terms of region or geographic area, or country, any.
I can work anywhere in the United States. I prefer the U.S. That's kind of my knowledge and background. I've done a little bit of international work, but not enough to consider myself an expert. Although if I can work locally and go and visit, I much prefer that. If I can work with the sales teams, I'll even go out and make sales calls.
Before we dig deeper into your firm's work, let's zoom out. What are the trends you're seeing with small to medium businesses?
Well, obviously, technology and the big two letters AI, what does that mean to anybody, and et cetera. So obviously, everybody's concerned with it, trying to understand it. What can it do for us? What is it doing against us, et cetera, et cetera. And so I think the trend is more companies are looking for tech savvy salespeople today. A lot of people talk about AI and basically say, AI is going to replace people. Well, I would tend to say it's probably going to replace people that don't know AI, but those that get themselves educated in it, understand it, know how to use it, are the ones that people are going to be looking for in every field. But in the world of sales, it's on two levels. First, we're going to look at the buyers. Okay, they're using AI, sometimes incorrectly, in our opinion. Where can I just go to ChatGPT, plug in what I want to buy, and say, find me the 3 best suppliers, and have them send me a bid? Is that going to work? It may in some industries, but you may really be missing out in other industries. So, we have to understand that clients are using it. We've got to make sure that we're technically savvy to make sure that we appear in those searches and SEO and all the good things we do on the digital marketing side. And then on the sales side, again, being able to use it to become more efficient. I think we're all going to expect salespeople to be more technologically adept and have the ability to handle more opportunities by using the technology, right? So today, we can use AI to follow up with clients, to summarize long conversations in email trails, to remind us to do things, to do outreach to certain types of targeted markets that we decide on. So theoretically, we should be able to touch a lot more people a lot more efficiently utilizing it. And those are definitely the trends that I see today.
Do you find people are scared of it? What's the sentiment, John?
Are they scared of it? Those that are not technically adept obviously are. What is this stuff, et cetera, et cetera. There's a lot of misunderstanding about it, especially amongst business owners. Either it scares them or they think it's something they're going to buy as a software package and it's going to fix their business overnight. So there's a lot of training and support that's necessary. And I know you're in this business, and this is what I continue to instruct my clients is, before you go crazy on this, please bring an expert into house and put a strategy together. It's the same thing we do in sales. You wouldn't just go out and start knocking on doors. Okay. We don't sell vacuum cleaners. Not everybody's going to buy one, and that's not the most efficient way to sell. You put together a strategy. Who are we going to target? How are we going to make our appeal to them? What might the objections be? How do we handle those? All the different things in sales. And the same applies to, AI and how we're going to use it. And again, my big encouragement to everybody is just set your strategy first, because I walk into too many companies where the art department's using one program to do drawings, and the sales department is using just ChatGPT to put together outbound letters, and marketing's using it to put together PowerPoint presentations. It's 3 different systems. Nobody's talking to anybody. Nobody's saving anything. So again, strategy first.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. How are you integrating it into your business? Or if not yet, where do you want to start integrating it into Growth Plan Partners?
Right. Well, my personal business, I usually only handle about 4 to 6 clients at a time. So it's not like I'm juggling 1,000 balls for my own business. Serving those clients takes a significant amount of time, and I'm mostly working on their projects around AI. But me personally, I'm using AI for outbound and outreach. Okay. You've got to, keep yourself relevant. You've got to be the thought leader. So utilizing the tools that are out there today via LinkedIn and other social networks to make sure that your thought leadership is being updated, posted. People know how to get a hold of you. There's calls to action. Because again, in my book, sales is kind of 3 things I always say is that, sales, there's a problem or a pain that needs to be solved or reduced. There is a solution, the supplier, okay, whatever that happens to be, and they may be an absolute perfect fit, okay? However, timing dictates that now is not the time to come together. Either there are other priorities on either side, or, there's not a budget to be had to do that right now, et cetera, et cetera. So there's got to be this combination of marketing and lead nurturing that go along with the direct selling effort. And if you use AI and those tools to make sure you understand when you should be engaged with clients, your efforts will be a lot more effective.
I think most CEOs get tons of spam from LinkedIn. Do you think it's possible to still use AI without sounding so spammy?
I think so. And that's probably the biggest benefit of it. If used properly, target correctly. Make sure you pick your target. Make sure you're not spamming the world. You're buying lists that are unqualified, don't meet, your ideal client profiles, etc. So I think if used properly, you're going to get a much narrower list of targets. You're going to be able to personalize it a lot better. And people are going to be, almost unable to detect whether this was bulk formed or done on a one-on-one basis by a human being. I just happened to talk to a company today that's actually very cool. They're developing technology right now to take the bot that we all interact with a keyboard and make it audible on a phone system so that you can actually talk to a bot. And they say they're this close to being undetectable that it's not a human you're speaking with. And that'll get better and faster over time and things like that.
Yeah, that's amazing. So outside of AI, what's working well for you? What are you most proud of with Growth Plan Partners?
Putting together, one of the things, again, that those first meetings where we sit down with the client and we try to get organized and actually get to sit them and down and look at their own strategy, right? That many of my first sessions are half-day strategy sessions. Again, things I talked about before, but what truly is our value proposition? I think people don't put enough thought into that. And I'll admit, I worked for billion-dollar companies and I didn't put enough thought into it when I was doing it for them. But I really get them focused on who should we be serving? Why should we be serving them? And let's go there first. I help them get away from this shotgun approach and this scattergun approach into a more rifled approach. Let's pick our targets. Let's understand who we can best serve. Let's go after them and do it extremely well instead of, in the French, but half-ass for a bunch of people. Better we do that. We'll be more respected in the industry. We can always grow into other markets later on, but let's get laser focused at the beginning. And I finished with a company not too long ago, fairly large company, about $40 million. I've been in business for 60 years. I was working with the third generation leader. And I started this process and he was like, nah, we've been in business for 60 years. We know who our customers are. We know what our value is. I says, do we? And I involved the whole sales force and we went through this process for 2 days. At the end, he shook his head. He said, I never would have imagined it was a smarter move. What we did is we focused the sales team. They have 3 basic types of clients. And he would have said, number 1 is where we need to be. And we agreed that number 3 is where we need to be. And when the sales force refocused at that third type of client, sales went up 30% in a matter of 8 weeks. It was just huge. Yeah. It was, lots of reasons. I won't go into them, but just those kinds of things get me excited and make me feel good about, even those that have been doing it for years and years and years. If they've never brought anybody in with my kind of expertise and the systems and processes that I bring to bear, again, how the very large companies learned to do it type of thing and applied that to small and mid-size, they'd struggle along at that same, what do they call it? The definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. So anyway, that's the fun I get out of it.
Oh, that sounds great. I mean, like you said, they just never had to focus on it before, right? So it's you're having them take a step back. How about what's been frustrating or difficult for you to try to grow the firm?
Well, my business is one such that it's very hard for me to market myself directly to my client. Okay, I need to speak to the business owner. No one else. No one else is going to make the decision to bring me in. Another sales leader's not, right? They're going to be like, hey, I'm doing a good job. Why would I bring anybody in? So it's the sales leader that someone else has to kind of hear the pain or understand the problems that, boy, my sales force isn't doing what I want them to do. I pay them tons of money and I just can't get them focused on the right things. Or I'm working 70 hours a day. I'm one of the top salespeople. I can't get out of it. I don't know how to manage my people correctly, types of things. So someone else really has to hear that and say, hey, how about a conversation with John? Okay. It's very hard for me to, and it's been tried, trust me, to send someone a letter, you're not like your sales. I mean, your sales not meeting goals. And, some people may pick up on some of that marketing. And I do that on LinkedIn. But all of my clients so far have come from a referral. They have come from another person that works with the business owner, knows the business owner, whatever, and knows me. And hears these pains or problems and says, you should probably have a conversation with John. So that's the biggest challenge, is making sure I can get in front of enough business owners to keep a client base available to me to go out and to help them, because that doesn't happen every day. I can't, I'm not sending out 10,000 emails a week. That doesn't do me any good.
Yeah.
So it's the quality of the networking that I do and the quality of the referral partners that I surround myself with that helps me achieve the success that I have.
How about metrics? Are there certain metrics that you measure on a day-to-day or weekly basis for yourself?
For myself and for my clients are pretty much the same things. I kiddingly, start with a discussion with many salespeople and sales and the business owners that, in essence, math is a math formula. I mean, sales is a math formula, right? Obviously, you want sales. So you have a certain amount of sales, then that's your goal, that's your objective, okay? To get that amount of sales, you generally have to propose some greater amount of business, okay? And you can determine that over time. Sometimes, if you're very focused, maybe it's only 2 times. That's probably the best target you could have. If you're winning half of what you're quoting, you're probably doing very well. Okay. If you're winning more than half than you're quoting, you need to expand out to other people. You could do more. Okay. And if you're winning less than half of what you're quoting too many people and not the appropriate people. Okay. Type of, but in the end, business from quotes, whatever that multiple is. And then you have to decide how many meetings is it going to take me with the ideal clients to get those proposal opportunities. Okay. And that may be 6 times you determine. All these metrics get measured over time and get refined. So it may be 6 times the amount of proposals that you need. So if you need 100 proposals to get to your number, you may need to have 600 meetings. Now, to get those 600 meetings, how many people do you have to touch? Well, you may have to touch 60,000 people based on your hit rate, right? And today we call them, we used to say meetings. Now we simply say touch points, because you can touch a client via phone, via email, via text, via LinkedIn. There's so many methodologies to touch a client, but those are your basic metrics. So touches, meetings, proposals, ultimate sales. I think those are the 4 major metrics that you have to keep your eye on top of. And then you evaluate those in a multitude of different ways: the volume, the time frame from one point of the sales process to the other, to see where you can improve over time.
Yeah, that makes sense. What's I guess a typical touch point? Like how many meetings do you typically have to have before a client closes?
Well, so the data today tells us, and I remember this from probably 15 years ago, we were appalled to believe that most people, you had to send 7 emails until they answered you. Okay.
Right.
Today they say it's 15. They say it's
Really?
15 touch points to get someone to react. There's so much coming at us. So if you're absolutely cold, okay, and this is the evaluation from a cold start, no, they don't know who you are, you don't know who they are, and you're trying to approach them, they say the average person takes 15 touch points until they react. And that can be yay, or that can just be nay, please go away. People are busy. I mean, I see them, you see them, you get emails all the time. Do you delete them right away? Do you take them off your list? I may need them someday. They're not bothering me. I'll delete the email. I'll let it go by, right? And that's part of that lead nurturing and marketing, and it's what we have to do. But yeah, it's not easy today. It's much harder. And like I said, that's the latest data I have, says between 13 and 15 touch points just to get someone to react.
I didn't realize that. Does it change depending on the type of messaging though? I'm assuming if it's not, again, so spammy versus if it's very targeted, does that go down?
Exactly.
Okay.
And I think one of the things that we focus a lot on is what we'll call relationship marketing. And what I mean by that is, you're going to react so much. If I sent you a letter and say, hey, I'm John Noonan, I'm with Growth Plan, I can help you grow your business. Maybe you can, maybe you can. I don't know John Noonan. If your best friend owned a business and I sent you a note and said, Teresa, Joan, I just worked with Joan, your friend, and was able to increase her business 2 times. Do you think I could help you? I think you'd answer me right away. Or you'd at least call Joan and say, is this guy real? Should I talk to him or whatever? So relationships first, they always win and they always will win. A referral is absolute gold. And I try to teach salespeople this. Cold calling is tough. Doesn't mean you don't do it, don't have to do it, but anytime you can find first a relationship, and then secondly, I'll call it a commonality. So again, same situation. If I write you that same letter and you don't react to it, and I just happen to say, hey, Teresa, happen to notice we both went to the same college, do you happen to know Bob that was in our class? All right, now I'm interested. Now I've got a commonality with this person. Don't know them, don't have a reference, but I've got this commonality. So I think as good salespeople get focused, you want to first look at relationships, referrals, secondarily commonality. It's a whole lot more effective than just blunt cold. I'm me and you're you. Can we have a conversation?
Agree. No, I mean the rate I've called is I think is like 2% maybe respond. And
Right.
like you said, 15 times. Referrals probably what in the 80s or 90%,
Absolutely.
pretty high.
Yep.
But eventually it runs. Do you see it running out though? Or like how or it could be slower? Or what's your
Yeah.
thoughts?
Yeah, it's going to be slower for sure. But again, here comes AI again. This is where all this is going to help. Okay. go out and find me. In fact, I happen to work with a company right now that uses that whole idea of relationship and commonality to help you target a list of people that you're going to outreach to, probably through email, but firstly sort it by relationships, commonalities, and they do it by taking a company and have everybody's LinkedIn loaded into the system, everybody's email loaded into the system, so that the agents are out there searching all of these databases of information to see who may know who. And it may be as simple as, hey, the guy that works in your shipping department, his daughter works at that company. I didn't know that. So now you go back and you talk to the guy in the ship. Hey, could you talk to your daughter and see if she could introduce us to somebody? I mean, this is where the use of AI is taking us to, a level that we never would have expected.
There's no way someone could do that manually. That would be impossible. So that's good to hear the success stories. Where do you want to take Growth Plan Partners in the next 6 to 12 months?
I want to leave it right where it is. So I'll just say, I've done the 35 years. Okay. I'm really enjoying helping others. And if I can do that 3 to 6 kind of clients comfortably and keep them going. So I am actually someone that's not in a growth mode. Okay. I'm in the mode of just helping as many people as I possibly can with the time that I have, but I have no intent to replicate it, turn it into a massive business and let it run on its own over time. I'm enjoying maybe my latter, years in business, doing the fun stuff and helping people and really making a difference that maybe I didn't at the beginning.
That's a really nice place to be. I mean, you get to pick and choose who you
Exactly.
work with.
That is a fun part. So sometimes saying no is more fun than saying yes. I might not be the right person to help you.
If you can go back and give younger self, a piece of advice before entering the space, what would that be?
Get more outward focused, more other focused. I think when we're young, we're trying to make impressions, we're trying to learn our trades and things like that, and we get a little too me focused. And if you could teach a younger person how to be other focused earlier in their careers, I think they'd be a whole lot better, a whole lot faster.
Mm-hmm.
We've all heard the term go giver and kind of give first to receive, but it actually works without question. If you go out there and you support people, you give, good advice and you help others, that always comes back to you. And I think you learn quicker when you're open that way to, really ask, because if I go back and I look at what really good sales is, or what they call consultative selling, it's really just good questioning by a person that's interested in the other party and wants to help them. Okay. If you don't want to help them, you can ask questions all day and you're really not going to stay focused on it. But if your goal is, look, I get a kick out of asking a lot of good questions, getting to the root of a problem, providing solutions, and then everybody gets to win, that's a fun game to play. That's really a fun game to play. And if you get joy out of that, then you're going to be a great salesperson. But sometimes we think we're a little smarter than we are. We think that technique is more important than a relationship, or our intelligence is more important than a relationship. And I will say, go form the relationships, meet some good people, get them to trust you, and then see how you can solve problems, and you will be successful.
That's great advice. How about in terms of working at a corporate environment versus starting your own business? Would you change that? Maybe change the timing, or everything as same as is?
Yeah, I would change the timing. I wouldn't change it. I mean, if I came out of the box trying to do what I do now, I wouldn't have had that experience of the very large companies. I wouldn't have had that training. That training alone is important. So, even my kids, I've encouraged them to go work for some very large companies if they can at the front end and just become a sponge. Okay. Get to know everything as much as you can, attend every training course that they offer you. Just go do that. And then you'll figure out where your goals and objectives are, what you like to do, and then you could do it. So again, I wouldn't give up what I did. But again, if I had to change something, I would have started Growth Plan Partners 15 years ago. I had more than enough knowledge 15 years ago to do this, and I'm having more fun now. So I would have had more fun back then.
If someone wants to start their own growth consultancy or their own business, what key skill or mindset should they focus on besides what you just mentioned with the external focus?
Yeah, I mean, if they want to start their own consultancy, obviously, you got to be very passionate about what you do. I mean, if you're not, don't even attempt it, because I'm telling you, the first 6 months of after you've decided to do this are the hardest. You don't get an account right away, and you're walking the halls saying, why did I do this? I had this nice paycheck. Why would I give this up? So there's going to be headache, heartache, and maybe some financial, hardships getting that business up and going. So, make sure you're prepared for that. And, I think most people don't put enough thought and effort into the networking that you're going to have to do to gain clients. Okay. You've got to build a great referral partnership, and that takes a lot of time and a lot of effort, a lot of one-to-one calls, a lot of networking groups, a lot of getting involved locally. And, you can look at it as one of two ways. You're going to spend hours you're never going to get back that are unproductive, but you're not going to learn unless you try. So you've got to put yourself out there. We have something we call a 6-pronged system, kind of 6 ways to network and give talks and make presentations and be a thought leader and things like that, to make sure that you stay out there and you stay relevant and people can find you when you're looking for them. Because again, timing is everything. You're not going to hit on the right people at the right time. But if they see you and they know where to go find you when they do need you, that's ultimately going to lead to your success.
And that leads right into the last question. If people wanted to find you, where can they go?
I think LinkedIn is the best source. If you can, everybody's using LinkedIn's, simply my name under my picture there, John Noonan. You should be able to find me at Growth Plan Partners. Although lately on LinkedIn, I can't find everybody I want to find. It's been crazy. There's so many people on it, but that's the number one place. And if I can help anybody in any way, my email is simply that jnoonan@growthplanpartners.com. jnoonan@growthplanpartners.com. Send me an email, or if you do get to my LinkedIn, there's actually a click link to make an appointment with me. And, we can have a quick Zoom chat and see how I can help. There's no commitment. There's no upfront. I'm willing to have the conversation and see if I can help.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much, John. I learned so much from you today, and I'm sure our audience will as well. And so that's a wrap for today's episode. Thanks for hanging out with us. If you got value, share it, tag us, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Catch you next time on the Ascend Growth AI podcast.